Yes, fly, fishermen, fly. More people than ever before are taking to the air, and more fishermen than ever before are taking advantage of the fast service offered by the airlines to the world's finest fishing and recreation areas. This map shows the routes of Northwest Orient Airlines and its connecting carriers. This network of routes now makes it possible to reach almost any fishing ground quickly and easily, entirely by air. The provinces of Canada offer scenic thrills and the excitement of battling giant fish in virgin wilderness waters. Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, and other northern vacation lands open up new vistas to the fisherman who flies. It is in the great western states, Montana, the Dakotas, Idaho, Wyoming, and the national parks, that air travel for the fisherman has really come into its own. Fish for giant salmon in Puget Sound or the Columbia River, for fighting steelheads in the coastal rivers, or mountain trout in snow-fed mountain streams. It's easy by air. If it's bigger game you're after, fly the Hawaiian Express and combine thrilling surf or deep sea fishing with a memorable Hawaiian vacation. Or fabulous Alaska. Here is where more fishermen fly than any place else in the world. You can book a complete all-expense flying Alaskan fishing trip through Northwest Orient Airlines or your travel agent. Yes, more people than ever before are flying today. And more fishermen are flying, whether it be a short trip just a few miles from home or a long one, still only hours by air. Let's climb aboard and look in on a few of the many fishing spots located along the air lanes of the United States and Canada, and reached by the airlines and their connecting carriers and air taxi services.
Let's say that landlocked salmon is your dish. Like these sporting anglers, you can land by air taxi right on Lake Sebago in the state of Maine. Spring is in the air. The leaves are not out yet in this North Country, but the big salmon are hungry, and these folks are not losing any time getting there. Now for a good night's sleep at the lodge. And we're up bright and early to fly to a lake where the salmon are striking. And oh, what a beautiful morning. In a matter of minutes, here we are. Thousands of lakes in the U.S. and Canada are easily and quickly reached by float or bush planes. Canoe and guide are waiting for us. How about flies? The guide says they're taking streamers with light patterns. Okay, let's go. And now for a day of real fishing and real recreation. Fishing is recreation for body, mind, and spirit, satisfying a basic urge to match your wits against a wily fish, to get him to take your fly, and you fight him to a finish, not with brute strength, but with skill. Keep a tight line and strip, brother, strip to haul him in. This sure makes a new man, a new woman of you. Ever stop to figure out why so many Americans can enjoy sport like this? Not just the privileged few, but millions of us. We can enjoy these dividends of our good life because we are a productive people and a thrifty people. We can afford to stop work, go places, and do things that enable us to work better when we come back to the job because we produce enough and earn enough to save for happy days as well as rainy days. This has been a day worth working for and worth saving for. Now there's a man to envy, the guide. He can fish whenever he wants to, instead of working, if you call that work. Well, so can you, my friend, when you retire, if you save regularly while you work to enjoy life when working days are over. The payroll savings plan for buying U.S. savings bonds where you work is the simplest, easiest way to save, so there'll be plenty of fishing in your future. Tall pines cast long shadows on the silver of the lake in the sunset. The crisp spring air as we step from the plane. We have four beauties to prove that landlocked salmon in the lakes of Maine are as tall as the fishermen's tales about them. This is a day to long remember. If you want really big fish, we can wing out to South Dakota where the catfish come in the big economy size. We arrive at Yankton, a few miles from Kelly's Cove on the James River, which runs into the mighty Missouri. Catfishing tackle is simple, a stout line, a big hook, and a hunk of bait, the riper the better. Ah, a bite. Give him time to swallow it, then pull to set the hook. He's on, and brother, he's a big one. Hey, Joe, give us a hand. This fellow pulls like a scared bull calf. If the hook holds, we've got him. Too heavy to haul out by the hook. Use the gaff. Careful now. By golly, isn't he a whopper? Look at the whiskers on this granddaddy. Yes, sir, this one weighed 69 pounds, big enough for a banquet at the Fish and Game Club. Mighty good eating, too. Well, let's go to town and show the folks. A lot of retired folks and vacationers, too, follow the ducks south for the winter. There was snow on the ground in South Dakota. Let's fly down to Florida, where there's salt water and freshwater fishing the year round. Speaking of fresh water, Rainbow Springs at Dunellen, Florida, gushes forth every day enough water to supply a city the size of New York. Water with a year-round temperature of 74 degrees. Just right to produce the biggest bass in the world. Any fisherman will know just from looking at the green cover on Rainbow Springs and Rainbow River that there must be fish here. And fish there are. Big bass, small bass, brim, shiners. This big fellow mugging the camera is no Gregory Peck, looks more like a television wrestler. Look at that physique, 18 or 20 pounds in one magnificent hunk of piscatorial beauty. Plug casting is the dish for these fish in the crystal spring water. You can't miss, not for long, with all those hungry mouths below. Strike one. Northern bass in colder water are surface fighters making spectacular leaps to shake out the hook. These Florida bass stay underwater and try to get down into the grass. Tangle up the line in it so you can't haul them out. Who says a fish has no brains? Well, that's one that didn't get away. Over 8 pounds, just medium size for these waters, but still a bigger bass than most fishermen ever catch in a lifetime. Imagine yourself in this fisherman's paradise, truly the home of champions. People who save regularly can afford to go places when the time comes. Here's a bigger one, tired out after a good fight. He'll weigh a little over 10 pounds. Big enough to make the average fisherman's eyes bug out, almost anywhere but here. Yes, sir, a pair of real beauties. Now, what about trout? Your trout fisherman considers fly fishing for the many members of the trout family the finest sport of all. We fly up to Laperriere, 80 miles north of Montreal in Quebec, where the square tail or speckled trout in streams like this are really tops. This pool is only 15 minutes walk from a comfortable camp among the tall, fragrant pines. Blue sky, bright sun, a perfect day, and the square tails are rising to the spring hatch of flies all over the pool. We'll use dry flies, a light rod, a light line to give the trout a sporting chance to get away. In no time at all, the first strike. The trout sulks in the deep pool at the foot of the cascade. Never leaps out of the water, so we can't see how big he is, but he pulls like a good one. The guide says this pool goes down 60 feet in the middle. With a folding rubber boat, we could get out there and fish with wet flies, which sink down to where the big square tails may be lurking in the deepest water. This lady is a real expert. Watch her land this one. Now her husband has a strike. Square tails are real scrappers and some of the finest eating there is. We'll have a supper fit for a king when this memorable day is over. The catch runs from 1 to 2.5 pounds. Such a haul would satisfy the soul of any trout fisherman. The fighting tiger of all American freshwater fish is the muskellunge, which is the Indian name for one of the pike family. So we've flown out to Hayward, Wisconsin, called the muskellunge capital of the world, to fish for the big muskies in Teal Lake. In this beautiful blue water, rippling in the sun, under the red and green lily pads, lurk the savage muskies. There are fish here, all right, for a muskrat has built his house to be right in the middle of his fishing grounds. Our lure is a spinner bucktail. A strike. Too bad. Missed that one. Here's another. He's following the lure. But now he's hooked and the battle's on. Look at that leap. Now he's going down into the grass. Pump him up, pump him up. Gaining a little line on them each time you pump. Well, he's had his chance to get away and he didn't. So you kill him with a pistol before you bring him into the boat. Why? A muskie has a wicked double row of teeth. Now to gaff him and get him aboard. Not a record breaker, but he'll measure 38 inches and weigh 14.5 pounds. Big enough to bring a broad grin to the mug of any fisherman. Back on the pier with a pair of beauties and a smaller cousin of the muskie, a wall-eyed pike for good measure. That's a day for the memory book. And here's another thing to remember. Just as the speed, comfort, and convenience of air travel has opened new vistas for fishermen, so the automatic way of saving through United States defense bonds bought regularly through the payroll savings plan where you work or at your bank or post office enables you to save easily for your own security and your family's. so that you and yours may enjoy the blessings of this great free country of ours. We have come into Kamloops Airport in British Columbia in Western Canada. We'll drive 60 miles to Shuswap Lake to fish for the giant Kamloops trout, big rainbows, noted for their size and fighting ability. The lake is 70 miles long with 700 miles of shoreline, located right in the heart of the magnificent Canadian Rockies. We take a 10-mile tow to a likely fishing spot. We troll with a small pearl-colored wobbler that wiggles and shines like a minnow. In 10 minutes, we have our first strike. And then for 35 breathtaking minutes, it's fish against fishermen. Watch this rod action. These Kamloops trout have amazing power to leap, to plunge down deep. Fishermen call it sounding, to make long runs that take out the line you've been fighting to reel in. But an important part of the equipment of a fisherman is patience and a fighting heart of his own. Up to the boat, and you think you've got him. And he's off again for the ice-cold deeps of the lake. No time to look at the scenery now with only a 5.5-ounce rod with an HDH line to hold your hard-fighting prize. And a prize he is, 8.5 pounds. Think this fellow's big? Our friends in the other boat have a bigger one. 14.5 pounds of fighting fury finally brought to the net. Is everybody happy? Well, who wouldn't be? And everybody's hungry, too. So we go ashore for the cookout. That's fisherman slang for cooking outdoors. And if this isn't the great outdoors, where will you find a better spot for a banquet of trout? Clean, washed in a glacier-fed lake. Broiled over the coals of a small fire, with strips of bacon for seasoning and to keep the fish from drying out. Pan-fried potatoes and steaming coffee. Boy, doesn't it make your mouth water? Smell that wood smoke in the cool, crisp air. No air conditioning needed in this restaurant. Man, this is living. Not a care in the world. And here's what we caught and didn't eat. A picture to take back to prove those fish stories about the giant rainbows of Kamloops. And now we're homeward bound. We have visited only a few of the fine fishing locations in this country and Canada. There are many more in California, Minnesota, the Ozarks, the Cascade Mountains, the Rogue River country of Oregon, the Sierras, the bayous of Louisiana, and the bass fishing grounds of Tennessee and Kentucky. And don't forget Hawaii and Alaska. They are only hours away by air. And still only a matter of hours away by airplane are other great fishing waters, those of New Zealand and South America, Ireland and Africa. In fact, the fishing world is yours by air. If this seems a dream beyond your reach, remember the dreams that regular saving has already made to come true for millions of Americans like you. Dreams of a home of their own, of modern equipment in the home and on the farm, of college education and professional careers for their children, of independence and comfort when working years are over. It's not so much what you earn that can make your dreams come true. It's what you save out of what you earn. There's no safer, surer way to save than through Uncle Sam's defense bonds. And there's no time like today to begin to save for happy tomorrows. Fly, fishermen, fly.